Hey everyone, my name is Chelsea. Welcome to Little Mountain Ranch. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm really happy to have you here with me today where we are going to make some sloppy joe mix, and these are recipes that we're going to can, and we're going to make spaghetti sauce with meat. The spaghetti sauce with meat recipe is on page 406 of the complete book of home preserving, the Ball book. And the other recipe is from, let me check the name of the website. It is from cosmopolitancornbread.com. And I'll link that recipe for you down in the show notes. I have tried both of these recipes before and they are both excellent. And we're also going to make some fire cider today. Cold and flu season is here, so I'm going to make up a batch of fire cider. I've actually never made fire cider before. Generally, we use fermented garlic for our cold and flu remedy throughout the winter. But I've been doing some reading on fire cider and it looks like it might be really good way to be able to help just defend our bodies against the cold and flu season. We have already had our first cold of the year. Thankfully, I am finally over it. It seemed to hang on forever, but I do want to arm ourselves for the next one. So we're going to get to that, and I'm looking forward to that because I always like trying new recipes. I already have a lot of the prep work done for these recipes. I have all the ground beef here. This is 5 pounds of ground beef here, and then I have 12 pounds of ground beef done over here. So the way that I like to cook up my ground beef when I'm doing really large amounts like this is just in the oven. I just put the meat, just get it all cut up in the oven, cook it at around 350 degrees until it's golden brown. So it's kind of nice to have that all done. For the spaghetti sauce with meat, which is what we're gonna start with, we need 60 tomatoes cooked down and turned into sauce. And I already have that in my roaster oven over there. I just put my tomatoes in there last night, cooked them overnight and blended them up this morning. So those are waiting there to add all of our goodies. So let's head over to that side of the kitchen. We'll get this all mixed up and get it cooking because it does have to cook for a little bit before we can put it into the jars. And then we'll move on to our sloppy. We're going to add our 5 pounds of ground beef. All right, so we have all of our meat mixed in here, and I have 10 cloves of garlic, so I'm doubling this recipe. This is for the sauce. And some oregano, and this is only 2 tablespoons. It calls for 4, but we don't like too much oregano. 2 cups of green peppers. Look at me being so organized, you guys. This is supposed to be 2 pounds of mushrooms, but I just kind of made a guess on them because they were dehydrated mushrooms. 2 cups of onions, diced up. Parsley, 8 tablespoons. 8 teaspoons of salt. And 4 teaspoons of black pepper. And then we're just gonna let this cook and can it up. You can also add celery to this if you want instead of the bell peppers, but I decided to opt for bell peppers. You know, I feel like my tomatoes cooked down a bit too much. Oh, you know what? I took a bunch of the juice out. So I have the juice over here from all the tomatoes that I've been cooking down for the last couple of days. And I'm canning this up to use for soup, but I think I took too much out of this. So it's too thick. So we do want a nice thick sauce, but maybe not quite that thick. So we're going to be pressure canning this because it has the meat in it. And we're going to pressure can it for, let's see, for 70 minutes. Let's add just a little bit more of the juice. Okay, so now we're going to just let this do its thing. I'm going to turn it up to around 250. Put our lid back on, and over here I have 10 cups of tomato sauce in the bottom of this pot. So we need our 12 pounds of ground beef into this. You know, I don't think this pot's gonna be quite big enough. Well, let's try it and see. If I have to go grab a bigger one, I will. But this is a lot, whoa, a lot of ground beef. Oh no, it's gonna fit, but it is. Oh, you know what I forgot over there was the half a cup of brown sugar. So I'm gonna add that. Otherwise I'm going to forget. Okay, there, that's added. So we're gonna add 4 cups of beef broth to this. So I've also doubled this recipe as well. So this is the beef broth that we made together the other day. So 4 cups of beef broth, 2 cups of finely diced onions, 2 cups of beautiful peppers. I still have 2 more small boxes of peppers that I need to get processed. 12 cloves of garlic minced up. We need 6 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. I love the smell of Worcestershire sauce. 2, 6, did I say, how many did I say? 6. Oh, that smells so good. 2 tablespoons of yellow mustard. 1 teaspoon of salt. 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Half a cup of honey. When I am canning, I'll usually use store-bought honey instead of our homegrown honey. A half a cup of apple cider vinegar. Boy, that smells just delicious. Now, that tastes delicious. Now we're gonna get this cooking up. Okay, I'm just gonna get everything tidied up here and then we're gonna do our fire cider. And I just realized I have another project that we need to do. I just have to double check that I have all the ingredients for it, but I have all of our fermented peppers. You can see how it's kind of milky looking. That's totally normal with fermentation. So we have, these ones were Santa Cruz peppers. These ones were Tabasco, or are Tabasco peppers. And then these ones are habanero. So they are ready to make our hot sauce. So as long as I have all the ingredients for that recipe, or those recipes, we'll do that too. Because why not, since we're already in the kitchen making a mess. Okay, it is fire cider time. So I was inspired to make this from Ruth Ann Zimmerman, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. She has an awesome channel here on YouTube. So I did a bunch of research into different recipes, and there's kind of a common base of ingredients that you use. So I'm gonna show you what I've decided to use for mine. I'm going to use lemon. Some people use oranges and some people omit the lemon altogether. I'm gonna use some garlic, some ginger root, some horseradish root. So this is the horseradish that we picked together the other day. I'm going to use some jalapenos and some onion that I've cut up here. Whoops. Apple cider vinegar is going to be the base for this, and then I'm also going to add a little bit of our raw honey to it as well. I have this awesome old gem jar here. So gem jars were made in Canada. I don't know if they were made elsewhere, but all the ones I have are made in Canada, which I guess makes sense since I'm Canadian. But I don't like canning with gem jars. I just find that they just don't seal as well as regular and wide mouth. Maybe that's why they stopped making them. I don't know. If you do have a big selection of gem jars though, I do know that 4 Jars is carrying gem lids now. Ugh, still flies around. So annoying. Anyway, all we're gonna do here is layer all of our ingredients in the jar. It looks really pretty once we get it all layered in there. But let's first chop off the ends, which I suppose isn't really necessary since we're gonna be straining all of these out. So what we're gonna do is let this sit for 6 to 8 or 4 to 6 weeks, I guess. We are heading into cold and flu season around here. We actually had our first fall cold last week. So we're going to be using this to hopefully help with the colds. We'll see. I haven't used fire cider before Normally what I use in the winter time is fermented garlic. I ferment garlic in honey. We'll do that together probably next week sometime. And I still have some left over from last year actually. But I can imagine with these very potent ingredients that this is going to work well. So apparently what you do is just take around like a shot glass worth of this a couple times a day when you have cold symptoms. But I am, like I said, I've never made this before, so I am certainly not an expert, and I don't even know if it works, but I figure it is worth a try. And quite a few of these ingredients we grew in our own garden this year. So we're going to use a couple chunks of ginger. I'm not measuring the ratios here at all. I'm just going to kind of layer them semi-equal amounts. And I am going to cut everything up into chunks just so that there's more space for that apple cider vinegar to extract the goodness out of it. So we'll pop our ginger in there, our garlic. We'll cut these big cloves of garlic up too. And our jalapenos. That's what horseradish looks like. Smells really good. When you're processing horseradish, like if you're going to make horseradish sauce and you're going to use your food processor or your blender to mix it up, do make sure you're doing it in a well-ventilated place because it is very potent. Put our lemons in there. Our honey. And when I was scooping honey out of here the other day, somebody was saying not to use metal in honey. I've done a fair bit of research on this, and I think that that's one of those things that kind of went around the internet, but isn't really based in science. So if anybody has any articles or whatever that they'd want to share with me that says differently, I'd certainly be open to reading them. I'm going to put some onion in there. Wow, this is going to be potent. Oh my goodness. Oh, we have a couple more peppers we can throw in the top of there. Okay, we're going to top this with apple cider vinegar. Make sure everything's all covered up there. And there we go. That, I think, is going to have some kick when it's done. Oh, I need a gem lid. That's right. From down in the pantry, but we'll just set that aside for right now. I have our ring there. Got another bit of mess to clean up. And then we can jar up our sloppy Joe mix over there and get that into the canner. Friends, this smells so good and tastes so good. So I think what I'm going to do is can this up and then get onto doing the sauce in the morning, because I can just let it cook on low overnight in the roaster oven. And then this, it's kind of amazing that this was 12 pounds of ground beef. It doesn't look like 12 pounds of ground beef, does it? So that recipe doubled will give you 7.5 quarts, because I have half a quart left here. But we're gonna make pizza tonight, and I think this would taste really good on pizza. I have tons of the spaghetti sauce that I made over there already on the shelf. I have these, and then I'm gonna start getting into canning some soups, stew, things like that. So I am going to start canning some more. of these now that I have the brunt of most of the canning done. We still have a few tomatoes over there. We have that big bin there that I need to can, and then a few more left in there. But that is it for the tomatoes, and I'm really excited about it because I don't think I'm gonna have any green tomatoes to have to deal with at all because they're ripening beautifully inside. They were well on their way to ripening when I brought them in. So that's just fantastic because I am gonna have no waste out of the high tunnel, which I think that's probably the first time that's ever happened. So feeling pretty good about that. So I'm gonna get these into the canner, and I think along with the spaghetti sauce that I'm going to get canned up tomorrow morning, I'll also do the hot sauce as well. So I'll be back with you in the morning to finish up these projects. All right, friends, day 2. It is actually almost noon. It has been a very busy morning around here this morning, but I wanted to show you what I've gotten up to. I have 2 pots of tomatoes cooking down on the stove. I've gone through my tomatoes and done my daily tomato check and separated out the ripe from the green. So those are cooking down over there. I am going to get those blended up and add them to the spaghetti sauce that I made yesterday because it is incredibly thick. I'll show you when we're adding the tomatoes to it, but I just want to stretch it out a little bit. I'll get a few more jars out of it this way too and add some more tomato sauce to it. That's perfectly safe to do with this kind of recipe. I wouldn't want to add more meat to it or more onions or one of those ingredients, but adding more tomatoes isn't going to mess with my acidity levels to make it safe for canning. So I'm going to do that. Those just have to cook down for a few more minutes. And then we are going to make some hot sauce using our habanero peppers. So these are fermented. I don't know if I showed you this yesterday, but you can see how it's kind of milky looking. That is a good sign that the fermentation is working. So these are the Santa Cruz peppers and the Tabasco over here. So for both of the hot sauces that I'm going to make with the 2 hot peppers, the Tabasco sauce we're going to do something different with, but for these 2 I am going to dilute them a little bit because they are very spicy with some, what are these? These are paprika peppers and they're quite sweet. So I'm going to add some of those. I'm also going to add some sweet red onion, a little bit of garlic, and some apple cider vinegar, and maybe a little bit of honey too. So, and then of course a little bit of salt as well. So we're going to start with doing that while those tomatoes finish cooking behind me. Let's start with our habanero peppers here. And I may want to use a little bit of this brine. So I'm actually just going to scoop out the peppers and we'll add these to the blender. Ooh, it smells spicy. Do be careful. Do be careful when you're working with hot peppers, of course, because you don't want them to splash in your eyes or get on your skin. These were the peppers that Dan tried in the high tunnel that were really, really hot. Now add a little bit of onion. So this is just me winging it as far as this recipe goes. I'm not worried if there's a few seeds in there. Okay, we'll add a splash of apple cider vinegar, a bit of honey, pinch of salt, and we'll blend this up and see what we get. Okay, I am legitimately scared to try this. Oh, I wish Dan was home. I would get him to try it. Oh, that's gonna be really hot. Oh no. Holy crap. That is the hottest thing I have ever tasted in my life. Oh my goodness. That's not saying much though, because I a baby and I don't try hot things. I just do not like really hot things, but holy cow. So one of my boys absolutely adores hot stuff, but I feel like that might even be too hot for him. But because my tongue is so wimpy when it comes to hot stuff, it's on fire. I'm gonna set this aside and then let him try it and then see if I need to add anything else to it, because that is intense. Holy cow. Looks pretty though. Oh man. Okay, now these ones are a little less hot. So I'd like to make a hot sauce that I could actually eat. So maybe I'll just put a few of these in, and then a lot of the red. Oh, you know what I forgot to put in that one was garlic. What I would do next time is actually throw my garlic in with my peppers and let that ferment too. My tongue is literally on fire. Oh my goodness. So let's add a little onion to that. I'm gonna try to make just something that I could handle. Okay, I'm gonna add these peppers. You know what, I am not gonna use these though, because I made some smoked paprika. Guys, my tongue, oh my goodness. 2 years ago, and I didn't get any ripe paprika peppers last year. So I'm gonna save these and smoke them and make some smoked paprika. So I'm gonna go grab some other of my sweet onions. Sweet peppers. My brain's not working. Oh. I just cannot understand people that enjoy heat like that. It's like, why? Oh. Okay, let's throw in these sweet peppers. These are sweet banana peppers I'm throwing in here. Does anybody have a recipe for a really good mild hot sauce? I would love to have one. Something that's like mild and also just a little on the sweet side. Nice big clove of garlic there. Okay, the heat is now starting to fade. That was just sticking my tongue on that spoon. I wasn't even taking any, really. Oh man. Little apple cider. Little salt. Oh. Okay. I'm scared. That's spicy too, but not as spicy. Oh my goodness, I am the wrong person to be testing this. I really am. Okay, that one's habanero. This is Santa Cruz, the sort of mild Santa Cruz. Okay, so the recipe for the homemade Tabasco sauce that I'm going to make is from Chili Pepper Madness. That's the name of the website. Okay, so this actually says that we need to take all of this out and boil it for 15 minutes. And a half a cup of water. Little pinch of salt. And we're gonna go cook those up. So we're gonna cook those down, strain them out, and then we'll add enough vinegar to make like the consistency that we're looking for, which is kind of like this, like thickish. And that'll be the Tabasco sauce. So I think I'm just gonna hold off using these peppers and I'm gonna put them in the fridge. These are those Santa Cruz peppers. And either use them to make some more hot sauce. I'm sure that I have kids that would want to put those on pizza because they're crazy, and not make any more hot sauce, because I have both of these, which are smoking hot sauce, and I just can't see that we're going to use this up that quickly. In the fridge, this is going to last for a really long time because number one, it's fermented, so there's all that good bacteria in there, and number two, we have the apple cider vinegar to help preserve it. So yeah, that's what I think I'm gonna do. So then we're gonna blend up the tomato sauce here, and I'm going to show you down in the freeze dryer. I have some of the tomato skins that I freeze dried, and I'm gonna turn that into powder, tomato powder. I meant to show you that sauce before I added the tomatoes to it, and I didn't because I just added one full entire blender full of tomatoes to that, and I think that the texture is actually perfect for the spaghetti sauce that I want. So this looks nice and thick and beautiful. And better than looking good, it tastes really good too. So I'm just gonna clean up this mess here, and then we will get into getting all of that jarred up, and I'll show you the stuff that I canned up last night. So we want our inch of headspace there, give or take. Everything is always give or take in my kitchen, it seems. This recipe out of the Ball Book of Home Preserving, what is that? Is a really good recipe, even for making and freezing, or even for making and actually just using fresh. It's a great recipe, it's delish. Dan and I are gearing up to get the pantry tour out to you guys. We do an annual pantry tour here on our channel at the end of October, beginning of November each year. And it's one of our favorite videos to do, and one of your favorite videos too, because it's kind of like a culmination of all the things that you've watched me do from the first seed that I started back in February, all the way through growing and nurturing the garden and then preserving everything. It's kind of the cherry on the top of the cake, and something that I love to share with you. So you can look forward to that in the next few weeks. I don't know what it was about this year that, you know, I think I can probably run my second canner, that was different when it comes to canning. I didn't hit a point of feeling overwhelmed. Maybe there was a few days in there that I felt like it was a lot, but I felt like it was just a little bit each day that I did all the way throughout the preserving season that added up to a lot of jars in my pantry. But I don't feel burnt out like I usually do this time of year. I'm looking forward to having especially all the stuff out of the garden dealt with. But I feel like I'm still enjoying, excuse me, canning, which is awesome. I should be able to fill up both the canners with the rest of those tomatoes that I have in there. So I'll just do some plain tomato sauce so that I have both my 7-quart canners filled. Okay, so I have both my canners full back there, and because I have one that's mixed with tomato sauce, plain tomato sauce, and the spaghetti sauce, I'm using the thyme for the spaghetti sauce. Whenever you're going to be mixing things in a canner, always use the thyme for the longest processing time that you have in that canner. So over here I have a few more sauces and a few more just the juice that I was talking about that I strained off of my tomatoes, and I'm just going to jar these up. They'll stay warm enough because they're so hot to be able to go in the canner when these are done, and then I'm going to run down to the freeze dryer and grab my skins so I can show you what I do with those. Oh, I wanted to tell you, apparently if you add xanthan gum to your hot sauces, they won't split like this. I don't have xanthan gum, so I'll just shake it before we use it. Okay, scratch that. We're just going to quickly blend up this Tabasco sauce. And this is obviously a green Tabasco, not a red, because my Tabasco peppers didn't have enough time to ripen all the way. A little bit of in. Salt. This one smells a lot more fermented than the other one, I think, because it was cooked down in the fermentation brine. Taste of it, it just does not smell as hot as that other stuff. Definitely not as hot. More of a pepper flavor, like a black pepper flavor. not that bad. Not nearly as hot as the other stuff. I almost feel like I could use a little bit of this to make a milder hot sauce, because the flavor of this is pretty good. I just have to set my timer for my other canner there. So all that steamy sound that you hear back there, if you're new to pressure canning, I need to off gas my canners for 10 minutes before I put the weight on, so that's what I'm doing right now. Now I'll run down and grab the stuff from the freeze dryer. Okay, that's funny, because I thought that I had my tomato skins in the freeze dryer, but no, I have all the herbs that we picked the other day in the freeze dryer. So these are gonna go into jars right away. That's our timer for our first canner. So we're just gonna put our weight on and wait until the pressure comes up to 15 pounds of pressure, which is what we're going to, and then we'll set our timer for the processing time. So I want my sage leaves whole, so I'm gonna put those into the jar. I'm gonna be using these up within the next few months, so I'm not getting fancy with oxygen absorbers or anything like that, just straight into the jar, lid it up. Easy peasy. You could vacuum seal these if you want, but I open and close them so much that there's no point. So this is one of the things that I do use my reused lids for, is for my herbs. There we go. Okay, so now it's cleanup time. We just sit now and wait for the canners to do their thing. I have another batch of sauce to put in once those ones are done. So I'll be back with you when I have this mess cleaned up and when all our stuff is out of the canner, so I can show you what we ended up with. All right, friends, I wanted to give you an update on people's opinions of this hot sauce. So apparently the Santa Cruz one is absolutely disgusting and not worth keeping. So I'm just gonna pitch that. The habanero, one of my boys who loves really spicy said that this is absolutely fantastic and the flavor is really good. And the Tabasco sauce, they also thought was good. So that's awesome. So we have 2 sauces we can put in the fridge and 1 we can pitch. I ended up with 36 quarts of preserves over the last 24 hours. So we ended up with 6 of the Sloppy Joe mix, 9 of the pasta sauce, the spaghetti sauce with meat, and the rest were all either the plain tomato juice or the plain tomato sauce. So that feels pretty good. I have the last 5 quarts in the canner right now. And then all of the peppers that I had left to deal with are all chopped up. There's actually 3 bowls this size that are going to be put into the freeze dryer or the freezer, either of those. And then all I have left to deal with is those few boxes of tomatoes left. And then we are done with the things that need to come in the house and get preserved. I still have some more potatoes yet to pick. I have garlic to plant. I have kale to pick and some celery to pick. And then we'll be done. So probably 2 more weeks, I'd say, before we are completely finished with the 2024 garden. It has been an amazing gardening year this year, and preserving hasn't even felt too overwhelming. Normally I'm pretty overwhelmed and done with it this time of year, and I've had a few days of that, but overall I've really been enjoying it, and I'm going to just soak up these last 2 weeks that we get to spend both in the garden and in the kitchen preserving, and then we are going to round it off with our pantry tour, which I can't wait to share with you. I hope that you enjoyed today's video, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.